Hey, this is Matt with Fetch a Wrench. I run a mobile mechanic business, but I also love to travel. And I recently made a tour of my minivan camper, and I had a lot of questions on my couch bed system and my sink and table. So I'm gonna go over some questions, try to answer some of those questions with you guys, show you some measurements, and show you how it works outside of the van. This is my dog Kona. I travel with him, so we both sleep in here together. There's a decent amount of room. My fiance joined me on my last road trip, and so we had two people and a big dog. It was packed, but we made it work. I think it's a great setup. I think it's the best design out there. I will say that I did not design this. Nick Wathier designed this, and he was gracious enough to share those measurements, and I'll share those measurements with you guys in the description below. So I'll show you guys how it works outside of the van and kind of do a walk around so you can get a better visual of what you're working with. And it's a very simple design. Nick, who designed it, I think is a genius. I couldn't have done it myself, but I'm thankful that he did show it. I'm pretty sure you could fit this into a Sienna or a Odyssey as well. You would just have to adjust some of these measurements accordingly based on the floor design. I'm not completely familiar how that measures out and stuff. But yeah, here we go. I'll show you guys how this works. So obviously this is in couch mode, and when you want to turn into bed, this is all you do. Bed mode. It's very simple. This is almost a full-size bed. So in bed mode, it is about 75.5 inches long. And at its widest width, it's 48 inches wide. And this narrow section, it's 45 inches wide. And that comes back out to 48 inches wide again. The only reason this is narrow is because you've got these two arms on the side as you swing it up into couch mode. One thing I didn't show you guys, which I'm pretty excited about, is lounge mode, okay? So if you're in the bed mode and you're not quite ready to go to sleep, you could have in lounge mode, which we use it to watch movies before we go to bed. So this is how you set up in lounge mode. Raise this up, and I've got two legs back here. I'll show you in a second. You just prop it up like this. And there's lounge mode. So you get your pillow back here, TV screen up here. It works out beautifully. You can use it to read. You could get your laptop out and work. But this is a pretty cool mode. And the other cool thing is when it's time for bed, you don't have to get out of the van and get it back into bed mode. You can simply come back here. It's a little hard, but there's a couple little legs back here. Just drop down, and then you can go to bed. So you don't even have to get out of the van to do that. To get it into lounge mode is a lot harder. I don't think you can unless you got really skinny arms. I've got some skinny arms and I can't do it. So you have to put it in lounge mode from outside of the van, I think would be the easiest way to do it. So this is from the rear. This is lounge mode. And what I've got going on back here are these two legs. It's just screwed on both sides, and it just pivots on that screw. And then up here, I just have a little screw as like my little bump stop, basically. So I can slide that up, and it hits that screw, and I know where, to kind of get that angle, basically, is what I did there. So once I got it kind of square, I just screwed that screw in, and that creates a little bump stop for me. On the other side here, I've got a little screw that the leg will just kind of rest on. And then I got those big hooks that help secure the bed to a couple bolts in the van that are just the OEM bolts that hold the seat frame to the van. And so I've got some hooks that hook onto those bolts. I don't have the drawers in right now because I took them out to get this whole thing out of the van. And I will say I took this whole thing out by myself. It is heavy, it's kind of bulky, but I was able to do it myself. I just kind of slid it out the back. And when you slide it out the back, it has to be in bed mode. Otherwise, the top will run into your plastic interior and it won't come out. So it is a little bulky and kind of awkward to get it out, but you can get it out by yourself. I have not attempted to put it in by myself yet, so we'll see how that works. So on the side here, we've got 3 legs, and they are varying height because of the interior of the van. I'll show you those measurements on Nick Wathier's design, but basically they're just 2x4s and cut to varying lengths, and then they're held on by these T-brackets. You can just get these at like Menards is where I got them, and that T-bracket allows some space for the arm to pivot. I'm a mobile mechanic, I'm not a carpenter, so yeah, it's not perfect, but he does a really good job at taking measurements and sharing those with you. So back here, the arm just pivots on a bolt. This is from probably a transmission bell housing, and then it rests on this little block of wood here, and then as you fold it down, it just pivots on that bolt and then rests perfectly on this part of the leg here. And then this leg is, you know, there for the pivot point. We got a T-bracket on each side that holds that on, and then that one's just screwed on to the side there. And then I'll show you the underside of the bed here in a second. Before I show you the underside, this is just carpet padding. It's like 3/4 inch carpet padding, and I mainly did that because I didn't have great foam to begin with. And so all I had was a mattress topper, which is very soft. And so this carpet padding kind of just took the edge off. Once I got that on, I could lay it on my side and I couldn't feel the wood anymore. So it wasn't as hard basically. So carpet padding took the edge off. Now I've got 2 inches of high density foam, and then I've got 2 inches of mattress topper foam, and then this. So this is a pretty good combo. I like how this all comes together now. However, if I had to do it again, I would just start with like 4-inch high density foam and just be done with it, not deal with the carpet padding. But I already bought it, so I just went ahead and used it. So it's basically 3 pieces. You've got this back piece here, and I've got a hinge, and I can't really show you. It's a door hinge, that's all it is. So I got a door hinge here and a door hinge here, and that's all I have is just 2 door hinges. And that's what allows it to go into lounge mode or get into the back of the like trunk space. And then I've got these pretty heavy duty rollers for my drawers. And those are just shy of 2 feet. So I don't know if they are considered 24-inch rollers, but yeah, they're pretty heavy duty. I will say the screws are kind of short, and so you might need to put longer screws in, especially with the size of drawer that you put in there. And then, like I said in my tour, one drawer is more narrow than the other. And the reason I did it this way is I originally had a single sleeper, and so I only had one side as a bed, and I had one single drawer underneath that side. And so I just reused that design and then formed it to this double sleeper. If you stay tuned to the end, I'll show you pictures of my single sleeper. That worked out pretty great as well, and allowed you to have a lot more space as a single sleeper. So there's your double leg there where, you know, that thing just, the arm just rests on there. So this arm tapers off at the top, kind of angles there. So when it's down, you got a flat edge. Yeah, Nick did a really great job designing this thing, and it's awesome that he shared it with everyone. These lights here are motion sensing lights. So as you open up the drawer, they turn on. The sensor is on each end here. And so I did have to do this in the drawer. So it's kind of weird, but I put this big long strip of Gorilla Tape, and so once the sensor senses black, the light turns on. So it took me a while to figure that out, but I did have to do that. So that's one thing to consider if you use those motion sensing lights. This one, the sensor is too far away to work, and so I'll just flip that switch on or off as needed. One thing to consider down here when you're designing these legs is, so this T-bracket is hedged over just a little bit, while on this side it's hedged over on, you know, over to this side. And so when those screws go in, they're not gonna run into each other. So keep that in mind. And then if you do the drawer design, you just gotta make sure you don't get this T-bracket too high, otherwise it's not gonna sit flush. So keep that in mind. You could just have those drawers slide onto the floor and figure out how to latch it. I just put one of these little latches on. It works out great. If you don't have a latch, they will slide forward and come flying out when you hit the brakes. They won't really go backward as long as you have this hook. And so my drawers come out and almost rest onto that hook there. So it's as deep as they'll go. And the thickness that I decided to go with was 3/8 inch plywood. Plywood and 2x4s is all you really need for this. One cool thing about those little arms that hold up the back in the lounge mode, those arms are from this section that you cut out. So you just take that section and they will measure up perfectly to this back section. So they're mounted right to the top here, come out over here, and rest underneath there on that screw, just like that. So that's where that piece comes from. Don't have to measure at all. The measurement is done from when you cut those sections off there. This section here, you cut off at an angle, so when it opens and lifts, the interior of the van is a little bit more narrow toward the top, and so this allows it to open up just a little bit further. So that's the reason why this is angled off over here. All right, I'm gonna show you that it is possible to carry this by yourself. It is bulky and it's kind of awkward, but I put it in couch mode and I can kind of wrap my arm around it a little bit easier. But yeah, it's not easy to carry, but it looks something kind of like this. So yeah, not very easy, but it is possible. So you can take care of this by yourself. 2 people would be a lot easier, obviously. So if you got a bad back, I would not recommend it. So there you have it. That is the Nick Wathier couch bed. It's the design I use. Again, I think it's the best design out there. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I really appreciate the support, kind words that you guys have shared with my minivan build. I'll link my tour down below. I think it's one of the best builds out there as well. I took a lot of time to look at different builds, and I came up with this. I kind of merged a couple different ideas that I saw, but this system here is, I think, awesome. It maximizes all of the space that the Town Country Caravan offers. You got your drawer space down below, turns into a bed in seconds, and you can do it yourself. You don't need any help. So if you are in the Lansing, Michigan area, you can pay me to build you one, and then we can get it installed for you. So I do mobile mechanic work up here. It's what I do, and it's what I enjoy. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to chime in down below, and I would be happy to help. I love traveling, I love working, I love helping people. So please like, share, and subscribe, and find your next journey. All right, I'll catch you later. All right, so here is the material that I bought. I've got the 2x4s and the plywood, and here is the bed made. Drawer included. This is in couch mode or maybe chair mode since it's not as wide. Here's the drawer pulled out. And another angle of the drawer pulled all the way out. Here is the chair mode from the rear. And now it's in bed mode, and you can see that the rear chair, OEM chair, is installed, so you can sit next to it as well. And here's the outside of the van with the air conditioner vents at the front door. I chose to remove the front seat, and so I've got the generator and air conditioner where the front seat used to be. And here's with the rear seat folded down, and the vent pointing to the head or your feet, depending on what direction you lay. Here's an electric cooler I've got installed in the back, and here it is with the 4-inch foam, and the front drawer with my clothes, and then just example of what I store on the underside and behind the driver's side, and then here's the passenger side. Thanks for tuning in, guys.